Hey, welcome back to Barrel Brothers, and today we're doing a fan takeover. These came from a guy up the road was with an engineering shop, was shutting down. He was in his 70s. And I went up there to have a look at a lathe, and I spotted these two, and they were filthy, like absolutely filthy. I said, "Oh, what's the story on the old fans?" He says, "Oh, I'm selling those two." I said, "Oh, yeah, where'd you get them?" And he said, these were in his father's workshop when he started his apprenticeship at 15. So, and they've been working all these years and they were still going. So basically what I've done, I've just cleaned them all up. This one still needs a little bit of work. This one works a treat. Look at that, oscillates as well. How cool is that? And they weigh a ton. You know, they just don't make stuff like this anymore. This is all cast. Look at how aerodynamic this one is. Now we've got to do a little bit of work on this one. It's got a problem with the drive for the oscillation, because it has a motor that the motor goes right through. It has a gear, like a bevel gear on the back of it. Same sort of deal. This one has it on the side. This one's got it on the back. But like, check it out. I think these are probably from the 40s or 50s. I like the safety aspect, like you can just stick your hand straight into it. Or from the back, like you can stick your head in there. I'll have to put them up high so the kids can't put their fingers in them. What we're actually here to do today is start a part 2 of the fuel injection for the Sunny truck. We've had some stuff laser cut. That's, yeah, the 2 inlet manifolds. That's for the air filter. This actually screws onto the throttle bodies themselves, and these guys here have been printed for us. We've got a nice little donut here and some 45 and 32 millimeter tube. Just need somebody with one of those like hot metal glue guns to come and stick it all together and cut bits of it, which is mate of mine, Shannon. He's going to come over and we'll figure it all out and put it together. So how did I get all of this stuff? Well, I sort of did a bit of a contra deal with a friend of mine, Matt. He's sort of he can do some 3D. Well, these guys here are 3D printed like trumpets. How cool are they? He did some stuff for his Honda, and I said, well, you know, he was over. He's actually got a 310 Datsun with an A series in it. So I said, oh, you know, we're going to go with those throttles. I showed him these throttles, and he said that this is what we're going to go with. And he said, well, you know, what are you doing with the old stuff? Proceeded to convince me that I should give them to him, along with all the stuff we're not using. So the fuel pump, the swirl pod, all of that stuff. Matt's got it. So, and what he's done is he's drawn all this stuff up. So this and these guys, which we basically copied off the A15 one on the original manifold. That original manifold doesn't fit. So this is alloy. Originally cut them out of stainless steel, but now we've done them in alloy just because it's a damn sight easier to work with and get everything sort of to line up properly. And now we've got it all here. The guys over at High Grade Laser Profiling, they're the guys that cut all this stuff for me. Did a really good job, and fast too. And threw in some extras in case we screw it up, which has been known to happen. What I actually have to do is I've got to make up some mounts to mount this actually where I want it. So on the I've measured up, I know sort of by eye where I want the thing, but what I've got to do is drill and tap these guys here, then make up some rods so it sits this actually where we want it to go in the engine bay. I better poof, he's coming over this Saturday. It's Wednesday, it's the end of Wednesday today, so I've only got 2 days to do it, so I better pull my finger out. The first video I put up about the EFI and showed everybody the throttles, somebody pointed out to me that the R6 actually came with servo operated extendable velocity stacks on the back of here, so that they lengthen and shorten. God, that's tempting, but I because we've got to angle this up a bit, I'm not, because they're quite long. I mean, the Howter could run it easily. But yeah, might add a bit to the tuning. It's pretty complicated. You might as well just buy an R6 engine and put the whole bloody thing in. But yeah, I think just at this stage of the game, just the throttles. We might look at the velocity stacks later, but yeah, I found that out after I'd got all of this stuff. No, we won't be doing it at this stage, but it's, you know, it's always something in the back of your mind, like let's make things massively overcomplicated. So another big chunk of the puzzle, I feel, arrived the other day in the form of this big box. A big piece in the puzzle of making the Sunny civilized. What the? Oh my God, it's empty. Of course it's bloody empty, you idiots. Did you actually think I was gonna leave that in there for a couple of days? No, here it is, boys and girls. Dun, 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 dun. The fuel tank. Now this is freaking cool. Yeah, big shout out to Paul. Like seriously, I couldn't do this and make my fuel tank anywhere near as good as this for the dough. Really, it's, well, for a start, it's 45 litres, quite a chunk bigger than the standard one. Check it out, you get everything you could possibly need, and even like a cool stubby holder to hold the but there's the filler, like, and it's been machined, so every time you do it up, it comes up that way around. How cool is that? Fuel pump is already in there. The plug for this is here. As I said, all the fittings and whatnot, you know, straight on. This has been calibrated so it plugs straight into the original fuel gauge, and it works like a charm. So, oh, there's no sponsorship here. This I paid full price for this, and I just like to celebrate good Aussie engineering when you know, this is just beautifully made. Look at it. Remember the name. I'm trying to figure out how I can put this in. So we're here today with Shannon. Say hi, Shannon.
Hi, Shannon.
He's going to help me organise this, well, to make up a manifold basically, and then let manifold to get us all in there. So he's not actually, he's going to do all the good stuff, and I'm going to say, wow, that looks really good. I've used all my skills in this area and brought the Sunny truck in, as you can see in the background, and now I'm going to take the manifold off, which is, you know, I can do that. And then basically Shannon's going to do everything else. Shannon's been beavering away on going from the side of the head to the back of the throttles. I've been trying to come up with a better mount system, which I think I've done. These ones aren't too bad. From there, you can't really see it from that angle, but from there, they're just about in a straight line, those two end ones. These ones here, on the other hand, it sort of has to come out and then curl around the exhaust. The harder one is this one at the back here, because the exhaust angles itself back. This one's got a little bit of room. This one's pretty tight. It's got to actually curve quite sharply, so they can't all be equal, but it's going to be better than the Carby, which, yeah. Anyway, I digress. So my job has been to get from here to the air filter. So all this stuff and our PX600 filter has actually turned up, so that just sort of goes in there, and then we have some Datsun fasteners that just like clip down over the whole lot. That one, because it was tall enough to fit over the trumpets with a bit of clearance in the top, about 20 millimeters clearance over the top of the trumpets. So where are we? So the problem I've been having is, well, that's the plate as we had it, and this, I don't know if you notice it, but these used to have a ridge here. Now what I've done is machined that off, and the problem was that even with that, it needed to be chopped out a little bit. I don't know if you can see this, there's a little rise there. It was hitting against that, and then when you did any sort of tightening down, it would bend across from the edge of here to the bolt, so it'd bow like that. Bugger it. So machined all of that off completely, so, and then machined the plate that will sit flush like that, and put these guys here in, so if we wanted to take the fuel rail off, we can actually take it off without having to take all the air filter and everything off as well. You can just unscrew it and pull it out from that angle. There's some short tubes that have got to go in to make our plate clear everything, sort of all this stuff, air filter plate. And I was having a little trouble getting the pipe sort of nice and square and the right length on the lathe, so went and bought a pipe cutter. I've got a little version of this that I've, you know, for cutting sort of copper tube and whatnot. And this thing, well, there you go, all dead square and the same length, cuts them off nicely. So what happens now is, and I'll put these in, these are just bodgy bolts for the time being to give you an idea. These guys here fit down in there, and then the plan is to cut a chamfer around the edge of these holes, and we'll put an O-ring in underneath here, so this plate will clamp down. When these guys go in here, that will be welded around the top here, not on the bottom. So we'll have, because this actually goes down a little bit inside the throttle body, and it's like the same idea all the way through, so it's going to be pretty cool. So those will sit down there, and then the O-ring will actually come up against the side of that and be crushed underneath the edge, but where I put the chamfer in. So that's O-rings there, so there's nothing worse than having a whistly car, which we won't have. So those 1, 2, 3, 4 go in there. This one goes here like that over the top, and it sits, there's about 1 millimeter's clearance. The highest part is this one here, these two parts here. There's about 2 mil clearance on that, and there's about 1 millimeter clearance on that, so it's not right up against it. And these sit slightly proud, and then these guys go on from there, and those actually fit up inside here like that, and then this guy goes over the top like that, and there you have it. Welding here, that's fairly easy to do, but then you get this thing over the top. How are you gonna, like even with the whole thing off, it's a little tricky to weld around it. You could weld around in here, and we could put a chamfer on the inside of these, because I mean these, the studs or bolts or whatever we're going to have in there will hold these in place. I don't know, it's up to Shannon, he's going to be doing the welding. This is my first real go at something like this, and I'm finding it exceedingly interesting. Man, can you waste some time doing this stuff. But on the subject of the Sunny truck, I got a care package, a few bits and pieces. So we've got these guys just here. See, there's the little chromey bit on the corner. Notice it's missing one. Well, they only come in packs of 4, so I got 4. I got this, and these have really jumped in price in the last little while. Heater tap. So mine leaks. Well, it's just hot in the cabin. It just, if you've been there for a while, it's not. There's water going through the heater core all the time, even when you've got it shut off. So you shut all the air off, and that's fine. But yeah, as soon as you like crack anything, like, you know, have it anything off like room, cabin, and not the vent. The vent's just outside air, but any sort of air coming in, it's hot. Going out the windscreen and going, which is okay in winter, but it's a bit of a pain in, you know, PITA in the summer. So I've got one of these, and as I said, these have really jumped in price. They used to be fairly cheap, and now they're not. They really aren't. And I got these, which will upset a few people, indicators with clear parking lights. So in Australia, indicator, parking light. In Japan, they have orange parking lights. In Australia, it's not legal to have forward-facing orange lights. I've got these ones, and then I'll be able to run parking lights. And then the last thing that I got is something that's annoyed me ever since I got this thing, and I'll show you what that is. This little guy here, ever since it was in Japan, all the way through, see this? It's been broken. Look at that, a brand spanker. Obviously it's something that gets busted a bit, I suppose. I actually have to put on, as you see, there's a big gaping hole there where everything's supposed to be. It's all over here on the shelf. But I've got to put it all back on because the car's due for rego, and I have to get it inspected, for which it has to be actually running. we're getting there. It's just, we don't get, it's like every second Saturday we get to work on it. So it's going to be a bit of a slow process, but we will get there. In other news, somebody offered me a large sum of money for this car in traffic a couple of weeks back. And to which I replied, of course, it's not for sale. And then, and it was a big amount of money. For one of these, it was a big amount of money. Obviously fallen in love with it just by seeing it on the road. Anyway, I said it wasn't for sale, and that was that. Well, I thought it was. But he said, no, it's whatever, you know, X amount of money. And I said, mate, it's not for sale. And he said, why not? And I said, well, it took me a long time to get it and whatever, and then traffic. And anyway, he caught back up to me again and offered the same thing again, but cash. It's cash, you know. And I said, mate, it's not for sale. And he had 3 other guys in the car, and they're sort of looking at me like I've got some sort of mental deficiency. But yeah, it's not for sale. This is why is it not for sale? Because it's my work ute. Thanks for watching. See you next time. I might have a go at getting that Honda going actually.